All right, are we going to see Ambessa into Gwen? I'm ready for it. Let's see if Jiang is ready for it, right? I don't know.
Maybe Flandre's been someone to cook. It's going to be the Vi instead, though. That has been something that we're starting to see. Junglers, especially the AD variety, have been very, very important.
Yep, and with the Yone lock-in, always follows with the Sejuani. That will come through for Tarzan as well. The ball's in Ultra Prime's court because do you really want to give over a dynamic solo lane duo of an Ambessa, of a Yone? Akali seems to be a pretty good answer into Yone. We've seen a lot of different players take that. Saber, if they want to put the ball in his hands, he's going to have to come up big.
Okay, so already the makings of a dive composition here from Ultra Prime with the Akali and the Vi. AL, though, the game does not get any easier for their opponents. I mean, you're looking at a Sejuani and a Yone pair. This duo is already very potent early on, and as the game goes longer, Shanks will have the ability to kind of sit in a side lane, have Tarzan shadow him, and suddenly this 1-2 is incredibly dangerous. Ultra Prime are going to be able to pick themselves up the Ambessa on 3. And there's the Gwen that we were expecting, something that the LPL has really embraced coming out of day 2.
LPL Gwen, baby, let's go.
There we go.
Yeah, I got my pair of scissors here too. Like, we're so ready, man, you know? The scissors have fallen off of the figure. I need to glue those back on. But so nothing too surprising coming out from anyone's Legend or Ultra Prime for that matter. Now we get to talk about some champions that'd be really good into these compositions. I'd like to think that Braum could put in a lot of work against these melee champions.
Yeah, and no support. I mean, no Kalista banned on either side. Could be something that they're looking for, but I think when I'm looking at these 280 carries, there's a potential to start looking towards things like the Kai'Sa, like the Varus. Ashe still up and available. Ezreal has been, unfortunately, a champion that has so much extra value with, I think, the mobility that has been added to some of the solo lanes, like the Yone, like the Ambessa. So, interesting to see what AL are going to be able to grab for themselves on 4.
Yeah, we'll see what this last ban is going to be. The Nico was clearly targeted toward the bottom lane. Wonder if they'll just go with a second support ban here. Mentioned the Braum earlier, but there's lots of really good supports that could deal with these melee champions. Karma going to be the one taken off the board, so don't want to deal with any poke bot lanes.
Yeah, the Nico seems like it was very targeted towards a Kalista. The Karma seems like maybe we're trying to focus away from like a Karma. I mean, you have so many melees. Karma does actually end up adding a lot. Yeah, the poke Varus that we were talking about. Ashe still up and available. We'll see what the last man is going to be. The Alistar. So Rakan starts to gain a lot of value. Leona as well, something that is available to both of these teams. It's going to be the Renata, and they're giving last pick over to Hope.
Yeah, this Renata certainly will make a big impact against the triple melees of Ultra Prime. The question is, what is going to be your answer if you're Ultra Prime? You know, hook champions could do very well in instantly blowing up Renata. Could always go with your roaming support and a bot laner that can stand on their own, like the Ziggs, maybe like a Ziggs Leona or something like that for a little bit more hard engage.
Yeah, I like the Ziggs Leona, especially when you see on the opposite side. We know we were talking about Ultra Prime having a lot of melees. Now with this dive composition, the Ziggs is going to be poking away at the opponents, and as soon as they're able to find an angle, you're setting up for this Ambessa, for this Vi and Akali. And from Ultra Prime, what AD carry is going to be able to stay safe? I'm expecting this to be a Xayah, but the lane matchup versus something like a Ziggs is not all that great. The Xayah would obviously give a lot of tools over to Hope to be able to survive and invite some of the chaos that Ultra Prime want, but there's not a lot of mobile AD carries that are going to be able to dodge out and contest. I think Ashe or Varus is really going to be their best option.
Yeah, I think Varus for the disruption of the chain of corruption on to these big divers. You know, you just hope that, hey, we're going to go all in on Hope. Great. Here's a chain of corruption. You're now all rooted under the turret, and the rest of my team can come through. So something that Ultra Prime will need to be cognizant of, but as you mentioned, shouldn't have too hard of a time at least killing Hope at the start.
Yeah, AL, they're going to have a composition that does very well as the game continues on forward. I think you have such a potent duo, but the times in which they can actually start a fight is going to be difficult. So at any moment where they find themselves at a disadvantage, they're going to be very much reliant on this mid jungle in Tarzan and Shanks. So we need to see them take control early. We need to see how they're able to leverage these side lanes, because Gwen and Yone are so annoying to deal with for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, these are champions that are so difficult, especially in side lanes. We want to see anyone's legend go and grab some of these grubs. You know, if they take advantage on grubs, get at least 4, these side laners are just going to be going absolutely crazy. One adaptation I really like from anyone's legend, so a lot of what we saw from the Gwen was pairing it with like a Vi. I actually very much like the idea of pairing it with a Sejuani. It feels like teams have been trying to dive with Gwen's early advantage into an Mbessa with Vi's instead of champions like Sejuani, who can make the dive a little bit more stable. So that's something that I am really hoping pays off, because it's just something that through casual spectating, I'm like, why are we not doing this?
And for Ultra Prime, I think that this draft does give them some options to play. I like that we are seeing the tools available for them, but my worry is that it is too one-dimensional. It has one way of kind of operating and isn't able to succeed in very many ways after that.
The Gyos ring out. It's a little bit different when it's not in a best of 5, so no, not as crazy exciting, but always happy to see the turnout here, especially for a team like anyone's legend. Now, we mentioned that we're looking for anyone's legend to go and get these early grubs. It's going to be up to Zhaozha, the rookie coming through and helping out Ultra Prime, specifically Saber in the mid lane, maybe get some of that advantage at level 6.
Early lanes here, again, for people who are maybe unfamiliar with the Gwen versus Mbessa. Gwen is really strong in the early game and is one of the few champions that actually can match Mbessa, I think, across the game as a whole. Mbessa does have a much stronger first item spike than the Gwen, but Gwen scales like a monster. And for this bottom lane, it is so reliant on who lands poke. Hope actually going for the Hail of Blades. I think in a matchup where you get outranged in this manner and you want longer skirmishes, I can understand that. But when you are playing up against something like the Ziggs, being able to just land an ability first and get that Arcane Comet proc is so meaningful.
Yeah, perhaps Hope is just deciding later on, hey, I want to get out as much damage as I can when they get on me before I die. You know, maybe the hope for him is you trade 1 for 1 later on in the game, and that Hail of Blades will help out, as Wako just looking to have a good time on this Ziggs, get Zhaozha out of the lane, get him roaming around early.
Okay, and both junglers are pathing up towards the top side of the map, so we've seen a lot of tension from teams be thrown up to the Gwen. Gwen is a champion that, again, while she can have some prowess in the laning phase, she is particularly susceptible, especially because some of her mana costs are very, very high early on. So going to be seeing what they're able to do. Has some hidden synergy, or I guess some additional synergy, thanks to being a melee champion alongside the Sejuani. So going to be interested to see what AL and what Tarzan and Flandre are going to be able to execute with.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Junhao is going to have to be up there for an early cover. You see Flandre already shoving in. Hasn't really gotten too much damage onto Jiang yet, but getting the shove in means that on the next wave, maybe you get a little bit more in, and it's prime dive time.
Okay, and a small advantage starting to pair up here for AL. Okay. Get the cleanse out immediately.
All right. Not too bad. Zhaozha doing his thing. Jiang getting taken a little bit lower. We still see Tarzan hanging around. Junhao hanging around to these top quadrants as Saber gets a level up on Shanks here and takes him very low.
Hey, look, the electrocute was not something that we got to see earlier of last split, thanks to the electrocute changes coming in pretty recently. Seeing if Tarzan could do something mid here. Shanks, one more auto, has to flash out, and now Tarzan's abandoned.
Yep, and Saber might be able to move over to help out Junhao. Instead, they'll let Tarzan off the hook.
I mean, Gwen should be able to move, but Gwen doesn't have a lot of HP. Neither does Wenjong, but is Tarzan still going to be able to go for this? I think it's so risky. I think this is mostly just, hey, I'm here to cover for my mid. I'm making sure that they can't contest. But I like this from our supports on the side of Ultra Prime, moving and protecting. Wait, we're getting the teleport. They want to fight for this grub.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tarzan's going to be able to dash out of there. So the teleport from Wako going to be used, but we're not going to even be able to secure the crab. Tarzan will just take that.
I like how aggressive they were playing, and some good early vision now coming in from Ultra Prime. We'll see what this actually turns into and what are the effects of such play coming in for UP. But we do need them to kind of keep the ball rolling in this manner. If they can continue to snowball a lead, if they can maybe get some early grubs, they're going to be in a good spot to contest the AL in their first game of the group stage.
Yeah, they're really going to need to leverage the fact that Shanks is down a flash. It's going to be a little bit harder for him to move. Going to be a target that's a little easier to kill. Everybody knows that Yone is a little bit difficult to kill. Gets the snapback, take reduced damage. He's going to luckily lose the CC immunity he's going to have on snapback soon, but not yet. And you focus him down, all of a sudden you can get Saber rolling.
Okay, and already I think despite some of the early game woes, Tarzan is with a small advantage. It's going to be an early dragon started here by the side of UP. Does get spotted by that ward, but Junhao just wants to try to make sure that with his bottom lane having early push, this is a wave that AL are giving up during this. I think Hope and Kael need to kind of get out of this situation.
Junhao? Oh no! Ooh, okay. Junhao secured it, but it had 3 HP left. He will flash and he'll get over the wall.
I mean, that's fine, but this is still an advantage here for UP. I like the way that they're playing, and despite AL contesting, they got very little for that. Yes, it was the flash from Junhao, but that's another wave being missed by Hope and Kael. So I think level 6 is very, very key for this bot lane matchup for both sides. So being able to get that just that much faster is, and potentially, going to be changing up the matchup.
Yeah, very good point. We see Leona's move around so much, but Ziggs Leona does have some kill threat. Is Saber going to try to put down some kill threat? Fate sealed, just going to get Shanks out of there.
Okay, doesn't want to try to risk anything under the turret, but Shanks is under so much duress in this mid lane matchup now. The wave is going to eventually push on over to him, but he's going to miss out on this cannon, which definitely sucks. Tarzan is taking the grubs early on here, and so far, Ultra Prime are matching up against AL, and at least Saber, for the time being, is doing a very good job of trying to keep Shanks under wraps.
Yeah, it's been pretty great. They haven't allowed Tarzan to pay any attention to this top side, right? So while Flandre is getting his lane advantage, they haven't actually been able to, dive this Ambessa in the top lane because Tarzan's had to pay attention elsewhere.
Yeah. So what now we can hopefully expect from Ultra Prime is with 3 minutes before either a dragon or the grubs. Once Junhao hits level 6, I do want to see whether or not they're going to be able to execute on a dive, whether that be around the mid lane or in the bottom lane. Shanks is going to be able to get his recall in now, but with the bottom lane just now coming back, this would be a great time for them to be able to punish Hope with playing with the Ziggs, playing with this Vi.
Yeah, without a doubt. Get your advantages there, start to get the ball rolling, a little bit of gold in your pocket, a little bit of momentum. Then all of a sudden, the objectives could just become yours. Junhao going to need to, as you said, be the one to go first. Tarzan's the one to set the pace, drop an ultimate gank somewhere. That could result in a snowball that Ultra Prime can't come back from.
Junhao's wrapping around. It looks like he wants to go towards mid. They know that Shanks' flash is not quite up, and they'd already used the teleport. If they can make this play, it's going to be around Saber, getting the perfect execution in 3 seconds. And it doesn't seem like we're getting that much action out of all of this. The AL are able to contest in the bottom wave. Shanks should be able to survive now that he's gotten himself the Hex Drinker early on. Feels good.
Yeah, not too bad. Now, all I have to say, if they decide to be quiet for these next 2 minutes and Ultra Prime isn't going to make a move, who do you believe this favors? Because, if you're going to give anyone's legend these time for these solo laners, it's going to be pretty good.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wako is the one who gets caught. He's alone, and he will fall all alone. Hope gets first blood.
That is a max range Chains of Corruption coming out, and Tarzan slides into mid, but finding that kill is so important. It's right before Waco's TP timer. He'll have at least a recall here for Hope. I think they want to try to make a play in a minute's time. Tarzan!
Yeah, they're trying to make the play onto Tarzan. He's got to try to find a way out, flash over the wall. Shanks able to help him out a little bit. Here comes Kael as well. Saber is able to slide out, and the jungler for anyone's legend survives.
You trade out some summoner spells. It's I think a perfectly fine trade. Good job from Junhao and the rest of Ultra Prime. They wanted the respawn chickens. They go and grab most of the raptors for themselves. And not only are they getting vision onto Tarzan, but they are also taking away some of these resources. Really good openers here for the side of UP, despite their bottom lane going down.
And a big thing for Ultra Prime there is they were able to get down a lot of vision on these top side grubs. You see Xiaozhe getting an extra ward down before he takes his back. A lot of pings up near the top side here. Is anyone's legend 60 seconds to the next grub spawn? We talked about how important it is for them this game.
Maybe they're going to try and make a double lane play here with Wonjong and Saber. They do have their ultimates and the ability to teleport for this play, but you already see Ultra Prime are behind on this. It's going to be the wave that is just now crashing onto that top tier one. AL are retreating to their side of the jungle so that they can properly contest the mid lane brush and that entrance into the river.
Tarzan and company just walking their way in. Wako and Xiaozhe not too scary yet, to the point where they'd be shoved off. As we saw in the bot lane a couple of moments ago, Flandre getting his first plate down there. He had gotten one up top as well. And he's having a pretty good time himself. Just not disrupted means that you're pretty okay with the way the game's progressing.
Yeah, I think for right now, AL are going to be playing onto this side of the map. They just saw Saber TP for that wave that we were just talking about. So make sure that we're not only reinforcing Flandre, giving him resources if we need to, but with our duo sitting in mid lane and how easy it is, or how comparatively easy it is to clear the wave versus a Ziggs compared to other AD carries. They're just going to try and leverage this and take the second drink of the game. But this should have been their moment. They, as Ultra Prime, you have the ward on the dragon. Why are we not just starting up the second set of grubs here? I feel like this is a pretty big mistake and something that now AL, they still have ultimates up for them. And now with the redeploy, they'll have items to boot. I mean, this is a completed Riftmaker here coming in for Flandre. If he teleports for this play, Ultra Prime are in a pretty tough spot to try to contest.
Yeah, and anyone's legend really only needs to take one of these grubs for it to be worthwhile for them. Now, Junhao has started them up. It's pulling back a little bit, but he is on vision, so we'll see what the move is here for anyone's legend. They're going to try to look for Wako, and they're going to layer all the CC. He's got nowhere to go, and Hope will get his second kill, and they'll move it on up. 2 grubs left standing. Junhao's not going to be able to clear these out. He has quickly realized, oh my god, everybody's here, get me the heck out.
And now with that, it's going to be 5 grubs going over to AL. Already having a tough time playing this game, and Ultra Prime's bottom laner, this AD carry in Wako, is just having such a tough time. The first one, look, I was willing to excuse because that's basically max range. Oh, Shanks?
Oh, Saber gets hit with the Fade Seal, but he's going to go deep for it. The shield, the ultimate from Xiaozhe, not quite landing, and Shanks will be able to walk it out.
And that's tough because they were hoping they were trying to make a play and get something for this. It's just the ultimate here from Shanks. And again, I don't think you were asking before we got into one of these fights, if this game does go longer, which one of these teams are we expecting this to kind of favor? I think with a team that has a Yone and a Gwen, you have to be looking at them to be in a much better spot compared to what Ultra Prime have. They are, again, so one-dimensional, and you are cutting out the legs from underneath some of this damage profile. Yes, you still have Saber to kind of add to that, but if you have the Ziggs gone, you are so reliant on this dive working, and so far AL have not given you the space, and you still have to be able to play against stuff like the Renata, right?
Yeah, Saber can't kill anybody right now, but maybe with a little bit of help from his jungler, he could be able to. As Shanks is taken low, is running toward a side of the map that is not his, and Junhao gets the kill.
All right, how much damage can they get on this top lane turret? You got 45 seconds before the plates start to fall. AL are in position. Wako does have the ult if he wants to clear the minion wave. I think this is going to be tough.
You have a 3v2 dive attempt. Xiaozhe is the one who was engaged on first, and the ultimate comes through, and Wonjong is split from the rest of his team. Good tanking here, but a lot of damage coming in from Wako and Wonjong. Kael is bleeding out, and he will go down. Flandre's got to flash forward, and he won't take a turret shot on the way out. Junhao is here. Hope is trying to kite it out, but Wako is free hitting. He's done so much damage this fight. Junhao looking to find the last kill onto Flandre, and he will. 3 kills for the jungler of Ultra Prime.
He starts off 3-0, has the completed Sundered Sky, and that was incredibly messy from AL. You know that they have a Ziggs. The Ziggs is off timer, and they had a vision ward, so they saw where Wako was. You have to be expecting, with the Ziggs ultimate, they can always clear the wave. The dive was incredibly difficult. I think that Wenjiang and Xiaoxia played that very, very well, and it ends up into a pretty good advantageous state here for Ultra Prime.
As it turns out, Anyone's Legend just didn't have the damage to be able to take out the support so quickly. Take a look at the replay. I mean, Tarzan starts us off just fine. He's the one tanking it up, but the rest of the fight doesn't go their way.
Yeah, the Gwen ultimate doesn't quite land. A lot of skill shots actually end up missing here from Hope. And Wenjiang's like, oh, cool. That means I can just utilize my public execution. I can get all of the Drake Hound steps. This is a great flash to, again, stall this play out. And this entire time, by the way, in the top lane, Saber is just hitting at this top tier 1 after they killed Shanks just a little bit ago. So Ultra Prime able to punish on some of the over-eagerness coming in from AL. There's RosieLove hanging out in the back rooms with the coaching staff.
It's probably like, damn, Xiaoxia played that one really well. But 15
He's like,
minutes
bro,
in,
I could have done that on Leona.
yeah, I would have gotten all the kills. That's not a good thing. But 15 minutes into this game, been a 600 gold lead for Ultra Prime. They looked pretty listless early on, but they've really come alive here. And now, Anyone's Legend, they're going to have to really rely on the strength of these solo lanes to get them back in the game and get this gold on the map.
One thing I will say is that play felt more like AL making a bunch of mistakes than it was Ultra Prime really, creating a situation that was unplayable for Anyone's Legend. And when you look at the map, the fact that AL were able to grab that first dragon, or one of these dragons, it does delay some of the scaling that we were kind of expecting, or some goal setting for Ultra Prime. They weren't able to get all of the grubs. It's 5 grubs to 1. They weren't able to secure both of the early dragons. So any soul win condition is going to be delayed by another 5 minutes. We've got the Herald spawning here now. I think this is pretty tough. Ultra Prime are immediately on this, and they're starting this up. Flandre does have teleport if they want to kind of contest, but I don't think AL are in a very good spot to try to make anything of this. Maybe they chase them out of the pit afterwards.
Gonna have a hard time walking up to Wako because he's got a little bit of damage. You can see Tarzan is getting chunked out. No contest here. The Herald will go over to Ultra Prime. And now it's time for Junhao to spread this lead around to his solo laners. Make sure that they're able to stack up against the powerful solo laning of Anyone's Legend.
Saber might find a second kill here onto Shanks. Oh, just barely out of range from the perfect execution. But this is going to be another turret falling for them. They already got the one in bottom lane. It'll be a top tier 1 as well. We talked about some of the side laning threats of this AL composition. And while Shanks has kind of gotten a lot of focus and may not be able to match this Akali, Flandre is starting to pick up a lot of steam here. Finishes his Hex Drinker, or sorry, finishes the what is it's the Rift Maker. I hate this item so much, man. They need to rework this item already. But aside from my hate for this, he's in a pretty good spot. If you can get those Nashor's Tooth second, then I think AL are in a pretty decent spot for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty much Gwen Thanos moment there when you get to those 2 items. Rift Herald getting used in the mid lane here. Shelly got hands really shook away. It was I love that, but we'll get the crash off anyway, taking the turret down to about half HP, giving Ultra Prime control of the bot side river.
Yeah. For now, it's the river, but you see that AL are able to take the inside track because it is their side of the jungle. That mid-tier 1 not falling isn't great, but I think setting up for the Ziggs, right? Ziggs, when he is on your team, you get more points into the satchel charge, and suddenly turrets just disappear around the map, especially with his passive. 2 items here for Wako. Someone that had a lot of pressure thrown his way, has been kind of the focus for AL, but right now, 2 items already on this Ziggs. Feeling pretty good. Honestly, if I'm Ziggs in this moment, I'm saying, wow, my more expensive mage items are kind of trumping the not even 1.5 completed items here for Hope on this Varus.
If I'm Wako, I'm like, thank God my team was able to take all of the aggro from Anyone's Legend on that bottom fight. It was about as easy as it gets for you in fights like those. You throw your Mega Inferno bomb from miles away, you're throwing your bombs from miles away, your Qs, and you're just having a great time. That's true Ziggs gaming right there. And if Anyone's Legend continues to not focus down Wako and get rid of him early, he's going to be able to do this all game long.
imagining that he's going to have a Seeker's Arm Guard / Zonia's as the third item, which is just going to make it more difficult for AL to get into this back line. It sucks that we're kind of the way that we're framing this, because while Shanks has been a pretty early target here for Ultra Prime, he has a large burden of his team's ability to actually start fights. We talked about it from the draft, and I think barring this single game, Shanks has been one of the most consistent members and also one of the most, the highest performing member for his team from Split 1. So to see him already taking down a peg, I want to see how he'll be able to bounce back, especially as a player who has a lot of experience under his belt.
Yeah, all it's going to take is one fight, Alk. You know, one fate sealed that you find on a couple of members, or Tarzan goes in, you get a good follow-up, and then Kael's there. You got a stew going, baby, with the hostile takeover. See a little bit of fighting going on in the jungle. Xiaoji's got to burn his ultimate. Oh my God! Hope just evaporates. All hope is lost, and Kael is the next target too. Xiaoji is there. Teleport coming through. Kael will bleed out. Saber in there. Flandre TP's in and gets the heck out, but Saber's going deep, and everybody is showing up for Ultra Prime.
The plot armor is looking quite fallible here for AL, as they tried to make a play, tried to stop Xiaoxia, and it turns into a kill onto both of the bottom laners here. Maybe they could chase for a little bit more. There's a dragon spawning in a minute and a half, and so trading those summoner spells was great, but how much can they actually get from this? It's a little bit of gold for them, but they lose priority on this mid-wave.
They did have Otacon on their side of the map, elected not to go for it as it had just spawned and weren't able to spend their riches from that fight. You'll take what you can get, open up the gold lead a little bit more, just about 2,000 here, but you mentioned that dragon looming in a minute could potentially be sole point for anyone's legend, and Ultra Prime's not going to want to give that up. So much pressure you'll get from that.
Okay. I want to see how AL kind of bounce back from this one, because this is not an early game that we were expecting coming in from Ultra Prime. These are the underdogs up against our Split 1 Grand Finalists, our Demacia Cup Grand Champions. And here in this game, I mean, they try to make something happen. This starts, again, like I was saying, with Xiaoxia. Hope gets satchel bombed into some of the oh my God, we get oh, it's double snowballs!
Yeah, it was the double
It's
snowball.
double snowballs at the same time. Okay, that's really cool. But yeah, it's so many of these skill shots landing onto Hope, and now we're in a spot where close to 2.5 items for a lot of the members of Ultra Prime. Wonjong and Flandre have been farming in a side lane against each other, and this doesn't get much easier for AL. If Tarzan and Shanks can't find the engage, then Ultra Prime are feeling more than happy to say, hey, we're just going to dive onto you and provide just enough damage for our Ziggs to take you down.
Yeah, anyone's Legends engage has to be snappy, because if you allow Wako to just sit there, he's just going to kill you. Now Xiaoxia, that is flash, will be able to walk away. Thought for a moment there that could be worrisome, as Hope is completely zoned off, has his Edge of Night, so he doesn't die like that again to Wako, but that's a very scary Ziggs who just took down the mid turret as well.
He does so much damage here, and Ultra Prime trying to find the delicate balance of, can we start Otacon? Can we start this dragon? Xiaoxia doesn't have flash. I wonder if Tarzan is going to try and make the snap onto this Leona. And I liked what we were seeing from our two mid laners here. Shanks and Saber fighting off in the other side lane, seeing who can teleport first.
Here we go, full engage out. Xiaoxia's the only one hit by the hostile takeover, but he is getting snipped away. You might be as strong as a rock, but those scissors are made of steel. Has anyone's legend managed to find one?
Saber teleported for this. They need to make something happen here. Otherwise, Yone is going to continue splitting on the opposite side of the map. They already lost one member.
Tarzan going to be the target. He's taking below half HP. Teleport coming in. And
oh,
the turn it all around. Chains of Corruption catches Junhao. Wako dealing as much damage as he can, but it's not enough. And AL start the dragon.
This will put them on sole point, and Ultra Prime make a few too many errors around this bottom side objective. I wonder with some of the recalls, were they willing to kind of risk it for an Otacon? They're going to instead play it a little safe, take their recalls, catch their waves, and push back out onto the map. A good job from AL to bounce back in what has been a pretty tough early game for them.
Yeah, and Flandre is now 4-1, by the way, as so many champions that are able to enable him this game. That is where we're going to see anyone's legend potentially turn this game around. Let's take a look at the replay and how this started.
Ooh, they find this pick immediately onto Junhao. Knows that he doesn't have the Q and it's on a bit of a lower cooldown. And no one from Ultra Prime feel willing to kind of go in. I think maybe they were waiting for Saber to teleport, but by that point, I think that this is just too little, too late coming in. It starts off with a bit of damage down, but that Chains of Corruption. Oh, Kael's dead?
What the heck is going on? Saber goes all the way in. He trades 1 for 1. And anyone's legend looking for more. Flandre looking to go crazy. Xiaozhe gets stunned up, and he's got to run away. Shanks off to the side, targeted out. In the middle of the fight is Junhao. He's got to do what he can, but he's got to flash out of the fight. Xiaozhe ends up in a 3v1, and he's going to fall too. It's a double kill for Hope. And just when you think Ultra Prime are in the game, it's slipping from their fingers, Alk.
No one is focusing Gwen, and we talked about how difficult Gwen was going to be for Ultra Prime to deal with. How much damage can Wako get with this? He'll have his auto attacks as well with the satchel charge. Honestly, I think he could go for a little bit more. You know that Shanks isn't dead. The only person that can match you is Kael. A ruinous Otacon going over to the side of anyone's legend. A lot of Blood Roses as well. And this starts with Saber finding the pick onto Kael. I just don't think it's worth it, though. Look at how much of a rough spot this puts your team. You're already behind, and now you've jeopardized not only your position, but Xiaozhe and Junhao.
Yeah, with Flandre showing on that wave, it's not so good. And, you know, I like what Shanks did there, although it looked a little ugly. Wako was kept completely out of the fight, right? He's able to get this one bouncing bomb in, and that's it. He's got to walk away.
Just was not worth it here for Ultra Prime. Feeling a little overzealous. The gold lead has almost completely collapsed at this point. And AL are starting to pick up steam in a game where it looked a bit difficult for the first 15 minutes. And I'm looking now. Waco's still not opting for the Seeker's Arm Guard. I think that, you know, you are dealing with double AD threats. There is someone like Tarzan that you're going to have to deal damage with. But I think that without Azonias, you are under so much threat, as we've seen early on into this game. So coming into Baron fights, coming into Dragons, I mean, now we're at soul point here for AL. 2.5 minutes of time. Ultra Prime are going to have to rock up and fight them. Otherwise, they lose the game.
Yeah, without that Seeker's Arm Guard, you know, we saw earlier in the game him get picked a couple of inopportune times, and anyone's legend were able to kind of build a lead off of that. Now the game in a bit of an even state, and I have to say, I want to give a lot of credit to Ultra Prime regardless of how this game goes. Anyone's legend, a team that is expected to make it first out of this group easily. We thought, hey, maybe they'll pull out something creative. It's not really that creative in my opinion, and the fact that Ultra Prime has played them straight up like this has been a really sight to see. Saber gets spotted out. Now he's going to quickly be in a 3v1. Shanks is going after him. Xiaozhe looking to back him up. Saber going to get slowed, but the stuns are out. But Saber gets knocked up and caught, and he falls on the side lane.
Does this mean they're going to start up the Baron? Anytime you have a Gwen on your team, you should always be thinking, can we get a Baron? Can I immediately take one of these Elder objectives? It's going to be a numbers advantage here for anyone's legend. Wanjung is looking for a teleport. He gets his level 16, which is huge.
Yeah, the teleport's a little far away, though. Wako is still able to free hit Baron down to about 3,000 HP. Looking to rejoin the fight is the Vi. Xiaozhe tanking everything up, but is able to walk out as the Baron resets to about 10,000 HP.
And a good delay. I think AR are going to be happy with the fact that they were able to trade some of the summoner spells away from Ultra Prime. Without the Sejuani ult, without the Yone ult, I think they're feeling just a little bit pressured, but I like the fact that AL were willing to call them on their bluff. And now we're sitting here, 45 seconds. Ultra Prime are first to the Dragon, but it is only Junhao and Wanjung. They have no vision, they have no wars right now that they can place. Xiaozhe is finally here. But Ultra Prime, this is a continuation of that Baron play. Remember, Wanjung teleported for this play for the Baron. They got him off the objective, and now they need to be able to make good. This is the more important fight for the tail of the tape in this game.
And the ultimates out from anyone's legend are coming back up. Shanks and Tarzan going to have those available. We're getting pinged out. Flandre and Tarzan just looking to potentially pick somebody off here, but Ultra Prime have an idea. Something's not quite right as the Dragon has spawned.
Okay. Wako is going to rejoin up with his team. They are losing position on mid, so I like what Hope is doing on the minimap here. Goes into mid lane. He knows he can clear this very, very easily. And with 5 grubs, while I would definitely prefer for AL to please just grab this Dragon, they can feel very safe about potentially going for a mid-tier 1.
Tarzan coming in from around the side. He's going to get into the back of the pit. 5,000 HP on the Dragon. Remember, this is soul for anyone's legend. Saber is in the back of the pit Wako trying to do what he can with these bouncing bombs. Saber is going to go all the way through on the Hexscape, but here it comes. The ultimates coming through. The knockups are there, and Anyone's Legend are taking out Ultra Prime. Here's the execution coming through for Wonjiang, trying to get in the back of the fight, but the Fate Sealed is going to be able to knock up the Akali. They find Saber, they find the key members. Tarzan finds Wako too, but he falls. Shanks unable to land the knockup, but now Wako all of a sudden can turn around, but he gets a little close. Flandre coming around on the side, ready to snip away at the life of Wako. He flashes over and takes him down. Anyone's Legend win the fight and the soul.
Wako, he could have definitely won that fight. Just a few different skill shots land a little bit differently, and Ultra Prime come out on top. It is the soul now going over to AL, and what feels like the game is going to continue to slip out of Ultra Prime's hands. I mean, we have a 3.5 item, almost level 18 Gwen in this game. Those 1,000 cuts passive is going to do so much, and in this, the first start of this is pretty strong from AL. A lot of crowd control lands onto Junhao, but I love what the solo lanes of Ultra Prime have done here with Saber, with Wonjiang. They move immediately into the back line, assassinate multiple members of AL, and this right here is where it gets a little dicey for AL, because Shanks does not land the damage. This Q landing is quite unfortunate. If he just continues to walk back, it could have been fine, but he's just not expecting for the Gwen to come over the wall.
So tough. The solo laners for Anyone's Legend, just a little bit thicker, able to survive from all of this damage that Ultra Prime is able to put together. And that is the difference maker. AlkBattery, top turret going down. Flandre getting that one. He is so far ahead, man. Nearly 4,000 golds. And Anyone's Legend ready to start this Baron at will.
What can AL get done in this time? They're taking over a majority of the vision, but I like that with the scuttle, it does make it a little difficult for AL to just immediately go for the Baron. If Flandre was a true knower, by the way, of the Gwen, with 4 items, you should be able to solo Baron. With the additional healing from the passive, they're going to make this play onto Xiaoxia. It's going to be the ultimate thrown away. Junhao is on a flank, but you see the ward, the pings coming out. AL know that they're going to be going Vi hunting soon.
Oh no, Junhao. Junhao, no! They know you're there! Alright, he's able to dash away for right now, but he does get spotted once again. They're on a wild goose chase. We're burning some flashes to try to take him down. Kael will get there. Are you going to handshake him? You will handshake him. Yeah. Junhao is dead.
Okay. Look at what Ultra Prime are doing this entire time. Oh, it's even the Guardian Angel. Low-key, keep him alive. Keep him alive.
Oh!
Kill him. They killed Kael. Look what's happening on the opposite side, though. Saber trying to fight. They can find Shanks.
Shanks is stunned. He's under the turret. They're going to go all the way in for the public execution, too. And they find him. Great place from Ultra Prime. But Tarzan with the big stun onto Xiaoxia. Teleport coming in from Flandre. He's on top of Saber. But Saber trying to get out with the angles, and he can't. Flandre takes him down. And now Hope coming in to cut off Wonjiang. He's going to slow him up with that Hex Tech Soul. And Wonjiang, he's desperately trying to get away. The Drakehound step, but Tarzan will chase him down, and the touch of the Freljord will keep you in place.
You know, maybe if Ziggs got a little bit more damage onto that turret, there is a way. It feels so tough for Ultra Prime. They take 1 step forward, it's 2 steps back. They got stopped on the Baron, they make a play on the bottom side, but guess what? Flandre and the rest of AL are still able to collapse, utilizing some of those teleports. They now will be able to grab the Baron on the side of Anyone's Legend, and this Baron timer is going to run perfectly into the Elder Dragon spawning. So with 5 grubs and a Baron, we are expecting for AL, the expected favorites of this group, to be able to close this one out.
All right, Junhao getting chased off by the rest of Anyone's Legend.
In the same area as last time.
Yep, Shanks, though, is at full HP. He's trying to get away as Junhao. Saber maybe trying to help his teammate. Good buffer on the ultimate, and they find Tarzan, but he will not bleed out. He will survive. Saber gets 1 kill. Saber needs to go back in and try to find another, trying to dodge out of the damage, but Flandre does too much. Saber can't get in there.
Wako was also pretty low on that mana. If he had the ultimate, maybe there was a big enough change, but with those 2 deaths, Junhao had almost 2,000 gold in his advantage versus Tarzan. That has completely gone down the drain. That is 1,500 gold almost immediately going over to his lane counterpart. So sucks to see here for Ultra Prime. They had a strong opener, and there are still glimpses, right? These 2 items, these 3 items coming in for Saber and Junhao, even Wako as the damage carries. They are getting their jobs done, but it just feels like they're doing it after Junhao and Xiaoxia have already died. If they can maybe coordinate this just a little bit tighter, we can start to see Ultra Prime really start to contest AL.
It's going to be so hard to stall out this Baron, too, if the minions are buffed up just because of all their damage is magic damage. We do know that this Herald is going to, not Herald, I'm sorry, this Elder is going to be up in 40 seconds. You know, the good news for Ultra Prime is if you don't want to go in for a full fight, if you get enough vision down, Junhao can sneak in, Wako can use his ultimate, and maybe you get a miracle.
And then look at the solo lanes right now. The CS differential between our 2 laners. 60 here for Shanks, despite all of the work that's been going into him. Flandre here with almost 80 CS over his opponent. It's not helping some of the gold deficits that they're finding themselves in. And Ultra Prime now, 10 seconds before that Elder like we were marking, it doesn't get any easier if you lose this objective.
Saber's going to have the perfect execution out, but Xiaoxia is getting taken lower and lower. These champions will deal a lot of damage as Tarzan just onslaught, just going forward on these guys. Teleport coming in from Wako. Flandre's ultimate getting used just for a little bit of extra damage.
I mean, Baron, 5 grubs.
Wait, they're going to try to combo him out. Fate Seal doesn't land on a Wako, but he will fall all the same. Junhao goes down 2. The flash onto Saber as Flandre looking to take him out. Doesn't quite land the snip, but he still has the damage. And anyone's legend found their way, have broken this game, have broken the base, and are looking to win.
There it is again. Baron still here. It's 20 seconds. Hextech Soul and the grubs. Come on.
Going all the way in onto the support, but they will fall. Ultra Prime fought valiantly, but anyone's legend were inevitable. And they will get their first win of the round-robin stage.
Minor mistakes from AL in the early game, and still, I think a big improvement from our solo lanes here. The bottom lane for Ultra Prime, still a big question mark as to whether or not they're going to be able to level up, not only today, but in the second day of the group stage here in Split 2 placements. So, unfortunate. It's kind of like a heartbreaker for Ultra Prime, because in spots there, you got to see them actually do what their composition and what their team champions want to do. But especially Xiaoxia, I know it's your first game on the stage. You're coming over from BLG's developmental league, but just getting caught out too many times, you need to be able to be more in sync with the rest of your team.
Yeah, these Leona ults can only go onto Tarzan so much, right? You're using it to keep yourself alive, and Tarzan's taking, what, 500 damage on the way out? It's like, well, we're missing this big team fight tool that needs to be better served to go on top of the Yone or on this Gwen when she's not immune. Having that big tool down, it's those little things that compound and really made a big difference in this game. And, you know, anyone's legend, again, as you mentioned earlier in the game, not perfect. Their plot armor starting to show some cracks.
Sure. You know, look, they are a team that has not been infallible. We've seen them not really have kind of the execution, and I will say part of the kind of strength for a team like AL, especially in best of one, is they are a team that is very creative and looking to always kind of push the boundaries here. So I like that we got to see the Gwen again from Flandre. I think definitely a player of the game for me, just because of how much influence and almost backbending he had to do for this Gwen in terms of carrying the team.
Yeah, bro was just going crazy. I've never seen such a good game of rock, paper, scissors where scissors actually beats rock, but that's how powerful Flandre was that game. Yep. Dude just played out of his mind, and the Gwen into Ambessa, if anybody had any doubts about how good that actually is, it is that good, and it's certainly needs to be on the radar of every single team.
Feels pretty good. Things for AL as they move forward, they're not going to have a game immediately after this. They're going to actually have the game after we do our play-by-play swaps in between. They're going to be going up against Thunder Talk in the 4th game of the day, but
big match. Still,
I think playing along the lines of what we saw from them in Split 1. So, you know, I don't think they need to be ramping it into overdrive right now. This is the start of a split, so take your time. Eventually get to that point where you're looking closer and closer towards contesting our other top teams in playoffs of Split 2.
Yeah, no need to hit the panic button just yet, especially with all the games that we still have to go.
Yes.
Not only for this group, but for all of placements. One thing that I've really enjoyed to see is that some of these teams that we've kind of defined as, maybe teams that are going to be third, fourth, actually putting up fights against some of the best the LPL has had to offer. Sure, it is best of one, and it could be seen as, quote, very fake, potentially. But still, it's still very nice to see a game like this where Ultra Prime, we're not listless. We're actually making plays and getting advantages. There's hope for these guys.
Yeah, it's so fun because you look at the last 2 days of play. I mean, there was an EDG that almost was able to take down BLG.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game
WE
yesterday.
Too.
Yeah, we were looking at the very last game of last night, LGD versus JDG. They almost got taken down, and LGD would have been second in that group immediately. So there are a lot of games coming in already through these placement stages where these teams are looking to play, and honestly, a best of one is basically, you could just say, the start of a best of a series, right? Like, they could have these same strategies coming into a game one of a best of 5, of a best of 3. So I think it is good to see that our lower place and lower expectation teams are pushing some of the teams that we do expect to kind of go out early in these groups as top seeds.
Yeah, it's going to keep them sharp, and let's take a look at this damage. Oh, Flandre did a lot less damage than I thought. He just still did a lot, but I just feel like
he was go.
I just feel like it felt like he did more.
Yeah, I mean he didn't. It didn't seem like we were getting much tussling between our two top laners, not comparatively to what we saw yesterday. And when he did get into fights, there's only so much you can do as Gwen. I mean, you have a lot of true damage as well, so you're already kind of ripping through a lot. I want to give my flowers over to someone like Saber and Wako. I had big question marks as to how they were going to perform, and it is only one game, so if we can get a bigger body of games throughout this group stage and the placements, then I think we can start to maybe look on the upsides for what Ultra Prime were able to get done this year.
Yeah, Saber in lane looked quite good, actually. Was able to burn the flash of Shanks. Had a lot of pressure. It was just the side laning that really was his undoing. A couple of times getting caught out. We mentioned earlier, when you get caught out, it ruins your team's tempo. It slows the game down. And that's what happened a couple of times. Ultra Prime wasn't able to push their advantages. It gave time for anyone's Legend to get back into the game and get their foothold and then take over.
I just feel like the liabilities this game were Junhao and Xiaoxia. Like, Junhao and them were kind of trying to take space. Look at how a lot of these plays and all of these highlights are a part of Xiaoxia being on screen. I feel like if there was just a little bit better communication, some coordination between the jungle and support of Ultra Prime, maybe this game goes a little bit different. Because, yes, the laning phase for Saber was good, but even outside of laning phase, I feel like he was really contesting Shanks a lot on the Akali. So if we can get more of that from Ultra Prime, hopefully this means that this group is not as dead in the water as we expect it to be. Because we are looking at it to be AL first, TT, RNG maybe, probably looking more like RNG is going to be third, and then Ultra Prime in dead last, which was kind of the same as what we expected from Split 1.
Without a doubt. And yeah, you know what? You are right. It does have a lot to do with the fact that he's alone on those side lane plays. Support your guy who is going toe-to-toe with Shanks and was beating him out in some scenarios. And, poor Wako, man. This guy did a lot. Had a really, really rough early game. But was really the engine that made this team go. Doing so much damage, making things good for them. Fortunately, wasn't able to bring it home.
He made, I think, a lot of great plays. The fact that he was able to keep himself relevant through his resource management was really, really smart. And so maybe that means we get a little bit more from this team. It's just, I think the problem is, again, it is so hard to play without your jungle support in the game. And they just don't look coordinated. So coming into this, AL, we're expected to be the favorites. We are thinking it's probably going to be Flandre with the player of the game. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think that with the early game, we didn't get to see too much from Shanks. Hope and Kael were kind of I wouldn't be surprised personally if maybe Kael gets a shout here, but he's playing Renata, so not too many flashy plays you can make.
The one thing you do have to worry about, Alk, is that Hope did get a lot of kills, which means there could be a couple of voters that were like, look at all the kills this man got. You know what? Let's vote for him. Don't do it. Vote for Flandre.
Please no.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Here we go.
Yeah!
Yay!
Woo! Gwen Enjoyers rejoice. Gwen Enjoyers rejoice, baby. 10, 1, and 11. Bunch of damage done. Bunch of KP. MVP count 1, baby.
I'm so proud of you, Flandre. Keep it going. Keep it going. You still got a couple games. Remember, it is a double round robin, best of 1 format here. So you're going to be playing 6 games in total. We got a couple of games for the rest of tonight and in a couple of days' time. But yeah, good job from AL.
Great job from AL, able to pull it out in the end. We're going to go and kick it to a short break. Game 3 coming up soon, RNG versus Ultra Prime. You're not going to want to miss it, especially the way Ultra